Many a times, trees are cut down and not replanted. Deforestation disrupts ecosystems and leads to many problems, among them climate change and global warming. Richard Kakunga, an ambassador of trees, is seeking to fight deforestation by attaining a green tree cover by doing what he does best.
I was born and raised actually in a military barracks. So for the person that I am today, it began since I was a child, having attended a military nursery school, a primary school, and a secondary school, all under the military. And this has molded me to having ended up being very much more caring about the environment, and that is why I currently serve as the CEO of Me Forest Initiative. Growing up and interacting with like-minded youth who were also seeing the effects of climate change and the rapid desertification that was happening in Kenya, we ended up coming together and asking ourselves, what can we do as youth? And so that is how our organization, Me Forest Initiative, was born. To address the climate change that was happening rapidly in Kenya, things that we hadn't seen before. Recently, we have seen even sandstorms happening here in Nairobi or even in Mombasa and Kenya itself, something we have never seen before. The locust invasion, which has also been recent. So it is such climate crisis that drove us to start our initiative, Me Forest Initiative, to ensure that the future generations and even our kids and grandkids at least will not come and find a Kenya which we did not do our part to ensure it will be sustainable for them.
What encompasses a good tree species to plant? Many would wonder.
We normally start by looking at the areas which tend to be affected more, or which, as per our analysis and expert consultation, will be in an area whereby there's a feasible climate crisis that might happen to them. Is it a landslide? For example, those living near quarries. Is it flooding? Is it waterborne diseases when we have a lot of flooding now, like Kibra? Our technical wing also falls within that. So Me Forest has ended up developing green tech technology, which is an application called GreenPap. GreenPap is a tree species to site matching tool, meaning that it recommends the right tree species to plant at any point of Kenya as per the climatic conditions and soil composition of that area, so that the trees which are planted, they end up surviving much more than just planting the tree, any other tree that you might take it here and you take it to Kisumu or Mombasa, but it's not suited for that climatic condition.
Richard explains rating of trees at hand in terms of value addition to the community as well as the economy.
I look at community, the community as a chain, and which is, we are deeply interlinked and connected, even without realizing it. For myself as a person, I cannot progress socioeconomically if it were not for an impact which someone else has done, whether I know them or not. For Me Forest, we focus on a number of things. One, we are based in Langata, and we have been working for the longest part in Kibra. And what we do is we try to teach people also how to start up tree nurseries. In this way, you are empowering them socioeconomically. So we teach them how to manage these nurseries. We teach them the right tree species to plant. And also we teach them how to best plant these trees and ensure survival. So once you've set up these youth groups, women groups, and the different CBOs, and also working with persons who are able differently, and through other partnerships that we have with other organizations, international organizations and so on. During international days which commemorate aspects of environment, we go back to these youth and organizations that we have empowered to buy the tree seedlings from them.
One of Richard's greatest innovations so far is the app that helps people to plant trees virtually with the help of ambassadors.
GreenPub is a web and mobile-based application It is a tree species to site matching tool, recommending the right tree species to plant. And GreenPub has three basic functionalities. It is a data collecting tool. In that, it collects the data for tree planting activities that have been happening across the country. This was not properly documented for the longest part. And despite you recording the information, GreenPub also allows you to plant virtually by bringing the forest to the palm of your hands. You can virtually plant a tree, and this order will be fulfilled by our green ambassadors who are spread across the 47 counties, and they'll be taking care of that tree. The second functionality of GreenPub, it is a data analysis tool, data visualization and analysis tool. We are able to project all the data of these tree planting activities, and the last time we did a report to the ministry and the cabinet secretary, for the short range period of last year, we had planted, Kenya as a country had planted 38 million seedlings, which 28 million was through aerial seeding.
He knows well the value of working with others in his long and demanding journey.
We have partnered with, we have been lucky to receive a grant from one organization called Skywatch. Skywatch works hand in hand with NASA, and they do they do process data or satellite data for a lot of research. But now our focus is on agroforestry and agriculture as well. So we are able to monitor which areas the trees are not survivable. Through the drones also, the drones are able to advise us why did the trees in this particular section, why were they not able to survive? We can use thermal vision because of that. Is it a building that is nearby and perhaps it's reflecting too much sunlight towards that particular area, and that is why those trees are not surviving in that particular area. So that is what generally GreenPub has been doing, and our partners in that for the data, for the tree site matching, we approached the Kenya Forest Research Institute when our dream seemed too big to be true for most of the people and individuals. They took us in, and at least the data that they are providing us is rich data that is as a result of Kenyan scientists who have always been researching for the very many years. That's how we are able to know this climatic condition is very good for this particular tree. We received a grant from Microsoft. It's called AI for Earth. Microsoft AI for Earth grant was being introduced in Africa for the first time, and it was only 10 startups which were to get this particular grant. We are the only one in Kenya. We are very lucky and we are very honored of that, and we are the only one as well in Africa in our category to get this grant from Microsoft. Other partners we work closely with is the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, because they are taking up our application as the official monitoring tool for tree survival rates.
Richard reveals to me his ultimate goal in his tireless efforts to beat climate change, that is, the 10% forest cover by 2022.
What you're working towards is attaining and maintaining over 10% tree cover of the land area of Kenya, as stipulated in Article 69(1)(b) of the Kenyan Constitution. As we stand right now, the tree cover of Kenya is 7.22%. We're supposed to achieve 10%. The difference of trees, the deficit that you have is 2.2 billion trees. Those are very many trees. So that is why under our category of green ambassadors, we also have vendors who are on the street. So when you're planting virtually, you'll be linked to, even you can be able to buy from that particular vendor, or you can be able to buy from an agency of the government which has a tree nursery and so on.
Young and ambitious, and keeps on counting his achievements.
Our application received acclamation during the International Youth Forum that was held in Sochi, Russia, where I had the opportunity to go as a guest speaker, and the whole focus was on how our green ambassadors are enabling, every other Kenyan to take up climate action.
Efforts that are clearly visible to the world, as he is Africa's finalist for UNEP Young Champions of the Earth Prize. And when it comes to the youth, he champions for their advocacy and inclusion on matters empowerment and development.
For the longest part, I have been serving also as the president of Young Diplomats of Kenya, whereby I am a youth advocate and I advocate for the inclusion of youth in policy making. And this is not only in matters of domestic relations, but also in international relations.
Richard draws his greatest motivation from the late Nobel laureate Dr. Wangari Maathai and the hummingbird's tale.
Dr. Wangari Maathai, the first African woman and Kenyan lady to win a Nobel Prize in Environment. Yeah, she really motivated me. Every time I walk through Karura, every time I see the beautiful trees or people enjoying Uhuru Park, all that is because of her, how she fought. She as a single individual. As a kid, I was a bit traumatized during that time when I saw, all these mobs, going to attack her. I remember seeing a video of them pulling the hair from her head and holding clubs. Even the TV had to be switched on because that was switched off because that really traumatized me. But that image has never left my head. There is one very interesting story that the late Nobel laureate Professor Wangari Maathai normally gives about. There was a forest and a fire started in the forest, a very big fire. All the animals ran, they ran away from the forest, thinking they cannot do anything. They're just very small. Yeah, they're very small to have any impact on that. But interestingly, there was one hummingbird. And as you know, a hummingbird is one very beautiful, tiny bird species. It kept on flying to the waterhole, drinking, coming and, spitting its drop on the fire. It kept on doing that. And all the other big animals like the elephant and so on, which metaphorically now I might put it as our leaders who we're expecting to guide us, who have the big trunks to even suck up most of the water, they were wondering, what is this hummingbird doing? So they asked the hummingbird, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Do you think you can do anything about this? But the response that the hummingbird gave was very simple, yet very beautiful. That I am doing the best that I can, to whichever capacity that I can. That is to my level best. So I think when myself as an individual and you as a Kenyan, you've done your best to take up something, believe you me, there's someone who will notice and you will motivate someone.
There have been a number of challenges along the way, but none of them have been reason for him to quit.
The challenge that we've always had, not only in Kenya but everywhere in the world, is that many people do not have the mindset of taking up climate action. They do not see the values that planting a tree might give them immediately. But that is because a tree that is planted today only starts benefiting us 10 years later. I do acknowledge, and people do acknowledge, something like racism exists. But when you go outside the country, you with your PhD, and when someone else who maybe just has technical skills also travels outside the country, someone who's racist will not care about titles or anything. They'll just see you as two very useless black people, to be very real, because I have faced racism myself at some point as well. And during such instances is when you remember, where can I run back and cry and be received, with comfort? It's home. And where is home? Kenya. So that is what always motivates me to keep on going.
These are the ambassador's views about climate change and global warming.
Climate change is as a result of human activity. It's as a result of human behavior. It's also as a result of ignorance by we as humans on our part, and unfortunately to say also for leaders for the longest part, because environment was never taken seriously. Many dockets might be given a lot of attention, but environment, it might be underfunded and so on. So climate change has been happening because we've been having a lot of urbanization projects going on. So as I'm saying, human activity, you'll find people going. We've recently seen in Ngong Forest, there was many trees which were cleared so that estates can come up. Whatever you're doing, be conscious of nature. Ensure it is sustainable.
We need trees and plants more than they need us. So, it is our duty to do what is right. This is the Arts Champions parting shot.
We need animals and plants way more than they need us, because it is nature which sustains us. Nature came before us. Nature has always been there. Nature can exist without us, but we cannot exist without nature. Right now we are in the COVID pandemic. Nature is thriving, but we've had a lot of impact, negative impact on nature. There's food insecurity. As we are right now in the pandemic, we are the ones who are suffering without enough food. So we are the ones who are supposed to take up this initiative.